Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our little celebratory episode of Midnight Festival. Tonight, we're talking our games of the year of 2020. Somehow we didn't think to talk about this around the actual new year, but better late than ever, huh? Anyway, I'm your host of the year, Jade.
I'm your second of three hosts, Kiowa.
And I'm your third host of the year, I'm Cole.
All right, so we've each compiled a small list of our games that we played in 2020. It's not necessarily games that had to come out in the year of 2020, right?
The best year, 2020.
Yeah, no, my picks did not come out in 2020. Well, I think one of them did.
Yeah, I think one of mine did
Yeah,
too.
I'm just going for games that I just played.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot easier, especially because, you know, for obvious reasons. Well, not too many games actually came out in 2020. I think that were, you know, like brand new.
It does feel like that.
Maybe I'm wrong. It just feels like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple great standouts in 2020, I suppose, but otherwise, I mean, it's almost criminal to not include all the good games that we've played throughout the year, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Despite what year they came out in.
Yeah.
So if we happen to have any, I wonder if we're going to have any crossover between our little lists. Or
Very
not.
possible. I'm expecting at least one.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some crossover.
So how do you want to do this? Should we take turns revealing one each? Or
Yeah, for sure. I've got 3 picks. I got a top 3 list
okay.
for the year of 2020.
I've
And then a
also
couple
compiled the
honorable
top
mentions.
3.
But yeah, I'll just focus on my first 3 picks right away.
Cool. How about you, Cole?
Yeah, I think I could, you know, I'll start off with my number 3 and we can work our way up to the number 1s.
Okay, let me think here, because my list is it's jank. It's there's just a bunch
You're
of
like undecided, right?
I'm undecided. Yeah, there's a bunch of games that I think my game of the year is decided. For me personally, but I think the other ones are all kind of in flux, and I think like all of them are sort of honorable mentions in a way, but they're good. They're all good. That's the important part. So how about
All right.
how about one of you guys start?
Not me. Not
Okay.
me.
Okay.
I
Can't
can
be
start.
me to
How about
start.
you start, Cole?
I can start. So 2020, you know, a year of a lot of remakes, but surprisingly, I don't think I really have much for remakes or remasters on my list overall. But my number 3 for 2020 is a game I think all of us here are actually familiar with, and it's Hades by Supergiant.
Hades.
It might
pick.
be a little surprising it's not way up there at number 1 or number 2, but
I know what your number 1 pick is, so
yeah,
it's not surprising to me.
I'm sure you do. Hades, I don't know what is there to say about Hades, right? That we didn't express in our original podcast.
Yeah, everyone, please, you know, if you want to hear our thoughts on Hades, listen to episode 4, I believe, of the podcast.
Around the time that we recorded that, I think I probably had around 80 hours in Hades. And most of my thoughts from then were pretty definitive, but I've put almost double that amount of time in Hades since we recorded that. I've got over 150 hours in the game.
Damn.
Wow.
Most of my thoughts still stand. It's still got that great art style. It's still got all that cool voice direction, tight gameplay. Everything's so cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it took that many hours to see my first, you know, couple bugs. But otherwise, it's like, it might be the most polished game I've ever played in my whole life. It's really that. It's insane. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it. But
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
like...
I have to go
action
ahead and
games.
say, though, that I also have Hades on my list.
Yeah,
As
I
one
don't
of
think
my
that's
top
too much of
3
a surprise.
Hades is
Yeah.
also on my list, too. So, I mean, that's,
Wow.
yeah.
It's
Well,
a
that's
good
amazing.
game. I don't know what to say. I feel a little
So
bad
good.
maybe opening up as it's my number 3. But, you know, if there's even more to be said, I'll leave it to you when you get to it. But Hades is
Honestly,
my number 3 of 2020.
The other games on my list kind of seem a little bit silly compared to Hades when I look at them, you know?
Yeah.
Just considering all the Hades accolades that have come out since we, recorded and everything.
Yeah, it was... They had it in the game of the year, the Game Awards. I don't think it won, but it had so many other awards
nominations.
given to it, nominations. And
Yeah.
honestly, it probably should have won.
Highly
I think it
accoladed
should have.
game. Yeah.
Like,
Just overall, compared to what else was nominated, in my opinion, I would have picked Hades.
yeah,
For real.
I think I did end up doing, the voting or whatever. I voted for Hades, but I think I mean, even it's just impossible to deny that Hades is just super polished and super stylish and super fun to play. I mean,
So
I
true.
still had some issues with it personally, but I just it was still a really good time for the most part. And even if you don't jive with the roguelite concept of the roguelite genre, like you can't just say Hades is a bad game. You just can't. It's impossible. It's like it's awesome. It's a great game.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I put a lot of my time into it, but I think the most of my time in the game was spent in the early access when the game wasn't even complete. Because I was just so into the mechanics of the game, the art, the character building and relationships that you could form, and just the combat and pacing of the game is so good. Impossible to not include on that list.
It's
Very.
probably only as good as it is because of feedback from people like yourself in the early access to begin with. So
Wow.
thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your work.
Yeah, thanks for
Going
helping.
out on a limb and diving into an early access title.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you gave them the funds to keep working on it. Thank you, early access purchasers. You guys helped us out. Kiowa
welcome.
specifically. Thanks to you more than the other ones that bought it.
All in a day's work.
How about you, Kiowa?
Yeah, what's your number 3?
All right. Well, yeah, I just revealed that one of my games was Hades. Another game on my list, it might be a surprise to some and might not be a surprise to others, but I can't, 2020, let's talk about the year 2020.
Yeah.
It's been quite a year, you find yourself spending lots of time inside.
Yep.
And it can be hard to stay entertained. You got to keep things fresh. So my pick for 2020, one of my top 3 picks is RimWorld,
RimWorld. Yeah,
a
yeah.
colony simulator management game. It's a super fun game. I've talked about it before. I think I've included it as a contender in a game debate before.
Oh, yeah. Not yet. I don't think.
Or not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
might be
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I think I might
You
have
did.
subbed in Kenshi instead.
Yeah.
of RimWorld, But
Right.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So RimWorld. It's a fun game. It'll always keep you entertained. The game's kind of self-titled as a story generator, where it just generates all these super interesting, occurrences that are supposed to be a fuel for you to write sort of fiction based on the stuff going on in the game, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
at face value, the game's just super fun, super in depth, and you can basically do whatever you want in it. And especially when you're spending so much time indoors at your computer, games like that have kind of are more slow paced in their development. I still find super fun and easy to play.
You just
So
jump right in
RimWorld,
anytime you want.
absolutely.
Start
Totally.
up a new colony. Let them
Yep.
you got all those guys with the random personalities, so each time
Yeah.
it's going to be just different instantly.
It looks
That
really
game
fun.
is very open ended. It looks like
Oh yeah, it almost feels like you kind of are I get the same sort of enjoyment out of looking at ant colonies. You just look at this sort of thing that you set up, and you just
Yeah.
watch all of your little dudes just run around. It's pretty much all automated too.
Is
You
that
can
kind of
set
similar
up,
to Dwarf Fortress then?
Yeah, it is in that same aspect of that same walk of games. And I know that the layout and structure of Dwarf Fortress is basically the fundamental building block of this game.
Yeah.
oh,
So
okay.
it has a lot to do with Dwarf Fortress.
Cool. Yeah, I've
I've
always
seen a
been
lot of
interested
people
in
play
those colony simulator type things where it's just like, oh, this history kind of gets written out for you with your characters kind of acting outside of what you want them to do and just doing funny stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
absolutely,
really
yeah.
does generate stories.
I feel like it kind of has a lot in common with Kenshi,
Mm.
in the sense that like it's also sort of like a colony simulator. There's just outlandish and crazy stuff happening to your characters at all times. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, kind of in the same walk as that. But yeah, I love the game. I still play from time to time, and definitely got me through the monotony of 2020 COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
That's a great pick then.
Thank you, thank you.
It's kind of a succinct one.
Yeah, it kind of just fell right into place.
So I guess
How about
I think
you, Jade?
I guess I think that I've arranged my games now. I'm gonna
Oh,
be
okay.
keeping the other ones. I have three runners up that I'd like to mention at towards the end.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, my number three is probably Hades too.
Okay.
I think it's
yeah,
Hades.
yeah.
I think my number three is Hades. Enjoyment wise, really it was good at the end. It was good towards the end for me, but you just can't. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, you can't deny how polished and streamlined and fun, and how much the developers loved the game. You could just tell, like it's full of character and it's really good. So yeah, I think that deserves to be a game of the year mention for me for sure.
That's
Oh,
very interesting to put
Yeah.
on your, you did have a little resistance to the game initially, so
I had
very
to
happy
think about
hear.
it. I had to think about it, and I was looking at my runners-up games here that I have, and I'm like, I don't know, none of them would feel right, to nominate.
Yep,
As
when
a
they're all
main
on
pick.
paper together,
Yeah,
kind of restructure them.
yeah.
Nobody could stand against Zagreus.
But the next
Yeah.
two I have are far more definitive than I think my third pick. So
Oh, okay.
that's a little teaser for you. Should we go? Should we go round robin style? Like I go next, and then Kaiwa
Sure.
will go next, and then Cole
Yeah,
will go
yeah. I
next.
mean, you were just kind of talking up.
Yeah.
We heard Hades again. What's another pick from you?
So my number two pick is a game that came out this year. And it's one that I played towards the tail end of the year. It is Omori by
Whoa.
by Omocat. The clothing designer artist made this game, an RPG maker sort of game for years. I remember being super hyped for it like in 2014. The art style was super cool. The trailer like caught my attention, and then it was just like radio silence for so long, and it finally came out at the end of this year, I think on the 25th. And it's kind of like it's one of those games that really hit me on a lot of different levels, both personal and just artistically. It's a really cohesive package. It was really, really good. I'd love to talk about it in more detail, but it's just a game that hit me really hard, and I really, really enjoyed playing it and learning the story and having it all unfold. And it's just really good, really great game.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about that one, but it sounds interesting, and I think I've seen you play some of it on stream before, right?
I don't remember if
Or
I
maybe
played
not
any
on
stream.
stream.
I don't
but-
think there has been any on the Jade Live Twitch stream, but
Yeah,
Oh,
it
but-
does sound like one of those games where the less you know going in, the better, the more profound it's probably going to end up being.
yeah, definitely. It's
Okay.
The
the less
combat
you know, the
system was it's just really, I don't know. I think it deserves to be mentioned just for how much I resonated with it, and just had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun exploring and talking to all the NPCs and doing doing boss fights and stuff. Like it was great. That's
A
my
lot of the
number
art
two.
that's come out of that game
Oh,
has been
perfect.
very good too.
Yeah.
I've seen everyone's different takes on the art style. It's kind of blown up because I didn't hear anything about it, and now everyone's at least referencing it in some respect on social media. In the circles that I see.
Yeah. I hope it, becomes, it's similar to, I hate to say it, but, it's along the veins of like Undertale and, Lisa and those kind of underground sort of like kind of odes to the old school RPG style game, you know, but it really does its own thing and it's super unique. And yeah, there's nothing else really like that game that I've played. Well, I mean, there's actually, okay, come on, there's like Yume Nikki and Off and stuff like that, but like those games are all really good, but I don't know, the art and the music of this game are just so, they're in a league of their own. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, it's good. It's very
Inspiring game.
All right.
Well,
I think that puts me up next, right?
yeah. Why don't you can go second?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, in that case, my final pick. My final.
Oh
pick
wait, you
for
only had 2?
No, well, my first was Hades. So.
Oh, that was your number 1 pick, game of the year.
Yep.
Okay.
And then RimWorld, and then my last one. So we could come back to me if we don't want me to be out of picks right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're not going, like in order, if you're just going with whatever is in your picks, yeah.
I should also note that I couldn't really sort my games into like the top 1, 2, or 3. I had to just put them all 3 in that same bracket.
Yeah,
my
that's
top
very
3
fair.
picks.
Well, I would like to hear you talk a little bit
Reveal.
specifically about Hades when you come back around to it.
Oh,
But,
sure. Yeah,
if
absolutely.
I can go ahead with my number 2 if you want.
Totally, yeah. Why don't you do that?
Well, number 2 for me is another not too big of a surprise, just because everyone here in this very podcast right now, all 3 members have played it, and it's Crosscode.
Fuck.
Oh.
I thought that was going to be your number 1. I thought that was going to be
That is not my number 1 pick, and, it may surprise you when you hear my number 1, but it shouldn't. But Crosscode is another very good one. Hearing how you felt about Omori, I feel like Crosscode kind of hits the same for me. It's probably not as profound of an experience just in general. Maybe not as insightful, but it still scratches that same itch where it resonated with me, maybe just at the right time. It's a video game in a video game. It's got some good characters. It's got some good design. It's all well made. You can feel a lot of the love put into the design of the game in many different corners. I think the post game chapter that we were all talking about in our original Crosscode episode of Midnight Festival, that's coming out soon, and I'm super excited to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to check that out.
Have more Crosscode time,
Yeah, we should try and cover that as an episode. I think that'd be
a little
good.
revisiting.
Yeah, it'd be nice to just see where it all goes, how it all maybe concludes, if it's more definitive than our experience was originally. I don't know, something about I just liked every single element of that game. Only a few minor nitpicks that I could just gloss over and be totally okay with.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I thought it was going to be your game of the year. I was wrong. I was so confident about it.
It's tough. Crosscode was such a good game. I loved it. I guess I played so many different games over 2020, and there was just some games that I was playing, I guess, earlier on in the year, like RimWorld, that I guess really made an impression on me, because that's when I was kind of understanding what 2020 was going to look like as a year.
Yeah.
And you played it out within RimWorld. You had your own 2020
exactly
in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of like modeling my game after real life experiences.
How about your other pick, Kiowa?
All right. So, one of my 3 picks, it's kind of a weird one, and I might get some backlash for this.
Ooh.
But
rubbing my hands together.
I have to
I'm
say,
angry.
one game that I've relied on a lot.
No, I know what it's gonna be. I know what it is. All right. Okay.
One game
go.
I've relied upon a lot in the year
okay.
2020 is the game Skyrim.
Oh man.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say Pokemon Go, and I was gonna.
Skyrim, Kiowa, you son of a bitch.
Right? Well, hear me out.
Explain yourself.
There's this mod called Skyrim 2020.
There's this mod called Skyrim Fuck Mod. Skyrim, what's that one called?
I'm sure it's actually because of other things like mods and VR. That's my guess.
Not VR, but mainly mods. Though I want to play VR someday. Yeah, I don't know. Skyrim's just been such a fun one. You know, Skyrim 2020 puts a fresh coat of paint on everything. Better UI, updated interface, less glitches that the old game was plagued by. Yeah, just fun mods. You know, character development mods. Better skill system. Really, it's a whole new game. And I've actually been recently able to play the mod Skyrim together, where you're able to actually get multiple people in the Skyrim game, and it's pretty fun. Just feels like Skyrim was always designed to have multiplayer, but it kind of fell through because there's spells set up to like heal your allies and buff your allies, but you don't really get many allies in the game. So it feels like it was always set up with having multiplayer in mind. Kind of felt lonely, but yeah, it's just an interesting like medium. It's kind of like a canvas for painting your desired gaming experience. Could be like a dating simulator. It could be just a deep fantasy game. For me, I just have a total war situation. I've amplified the Stormcloak and Imperial numbers by just, you know, I think like 1,000 times what they are normally supposed to be. And there's just war going on all the time in the whole countryside.
That sounds cool.
It's just cool. It's just crazy what you can do with this game that came out so many years ago. There's people making... There's people who have encoded the entire, you know, Cyrodiil and the entire, like, previous games into, like, the Skyrim, like, world, as well as quests and characters and everything. People have really gone all out on these mods. So, and it's all free. It's all free as long as you have Skyrim.
Yeah, that's like infinite gameplay.
Literally, like I have an easier time modding Skyrim than I do Minecraft, and I think that goes to say something.
Yeah, I don't know how, but after all these years, Skyrim support is still through the roof. I guess it's no wonder they keep re-releasing it.
Yeah, and it even though it seems like kind of a cheesy pick to put Skyrim on this list, and we've already played so many great games this year, but it just keeps changing. They keep adding all this new stuff, and I've just wanted to acknowledge the awesome marketplace of mods that they have out there for this game. Just for totally for free. All passion projects of people who like the game from all those years ago who are still playing today.
Your pick is like Skyrim mods.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that there's like you know, it's not just things that change the gameplay, but there's like entire fan-made expansion packs that are like whole entire story arcs with like voice acting and everything.
Right.
That shit's way cool. I really I respect that a lot.
I've definitely played a lot of Skyrim in mods.
There's this one mod in particular called Ordinator, which is just so good. It totally revamps the whole skill system of Skyrim and just allows for so much like creativity compared to the original skills in the game. And like I always miss that how there used to be so many more options for like conjuration in the previous, you know, Elder Scrolls games. But then Skyrim, it was kind of light. You can just mod that all away and just be like a necromancer king and have a whole army of people under your control at once. And yeah, it's just totally a different experience.
Interesting pick.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
Now who
who's
wants
up
to go
after me?
Well, I'd like to hear more specific Kaiwa thoughts on Hades, but then after that, you know, I can go again if you want to go.
Sure.
Final,
yeah.
Jade,
I mean, just I guess I could tie up my thoughts on Hades here. Like, Hades was my pick for the podcast. Like, when I played it, I played a lot in the early access, and I just realized that this was going to be the perfect game to play with the boys for the podcast. And so pretty, yeah, I sunk quite a few hours into that game, but then I realized, you know what, I'm just going to end up playing this whole thing again, so I might as well stop. And I stopped before I got too far ahead, or was able to, because of that that early access. And yeah, just loved the game, was drawn to it just by the mythology element. I've talked to several people, like coworkers at work. This game is reaching a lot of ears as well.
Mm.
Like, so many people are playing this game and hearing about it, and I haven't openly like talked to just random people in my sector before about like Supergiant games until Hades came out.
Mm.
But it's kind of getting to be a household name, I guess. Supergiant games.
Yeah, we're contributing a little bit to
Oh,
that,
yeah.
I guess. If we
That's
all of
true.
us individually have it on our list.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
for
deserves it.
real. It does, and yeah. So many people have, are finding this game and they all love it. They have a great time with it, and I've never really had such a cool like mythology based experience in a game since maybe like God of War,
Mm.
the most recent one,
Yeah.
or even like Age of Mythology. But
Yeah.
yeah, mythology is just such a cool sector that you could tap into in the world of gaming, and yeah, just can't
No
get
other
enough
game
of
has
that.
tapped into it, or really anything like that, the way that
Oh,
Hades
right,
does. It's
where
so
where
unique,
the actual
very
like
fresh.
right where the actual like roots of mythology are just now mechanics in a dungeon crawler procedurally generating game.
Yeah. It's very cool. The sequel
Right.
to Greek mythology as well, I think.
Yeah,
That's just the
exactly.
best. That's the
Mythology
coolest.
too.
Yeah. Greek mythology too.
Yeah, for real. Oh my god. Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. That's what it is. It's awesome. It's all very believable.
Hmm.
I believe that those characters would interact with each other in that way. So, yeah, I'd say it is a sequel.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Probably, in fact, more people have probably played Hades the game than have ever read the Iliad.
Yeah, then I've read.
I'm honestly, yeah, that's probably very true. Because I haven't read the Iliad, and Cole
Whoa.
hasn't read the Iliad. So just right there, from our small sample size of 3 people.
Right?
I'm assuming
Only
you've read the
one has
Iliad.
read the Iliad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. Hades
You
is.
think I haven't read the Iliad? Come on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know you haven't read the Iliad.
Okay, well, that's true.
Well, yeah. So that's my thoughts on Hades in a nutshell.
Excellent
Hell yeah.
picks.
It's a,
In
yeah.
addition to all of my, I haven't really changed much of my opinion since our podcast on the game. Still think it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It holds up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Well, do you
Cole,
want to go, Jade, or should I?
do you or do I should go?
Yeah, I don't have a preference, I guess, so I can just go.
I'm almost kind of thinking we're gonna have the same game.
No.
Maybe. All right.
The same number 1 game?
Oh,
Oh, man. Okay.
It's a total standoff.
I'm interested. Yeah, it's
yeah.
a standoff. Stop me anytime if it is.
Okay.
My number 1 game, looking back for 2020, I was almost surprised that this game I played in 2020 because the year did feel so long. You know, what happened at the start of the year feels like ancient history already.
Right?
And in fact, this game didn't technically come out in 2020, except for PC. And it was right at the very start of the year. And it's not a whole game on its own, it's an expansion. And if you know where this is going,
Okay.
my number 1 for 2020 is Monster Hunter World Iceborn.
Yeah.
Whoa. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A blast from the past.
See,
You're right. That does feel like an eternity ago.
It feels like forever ago, but it's just more Monster Hunter World goodness. And it's not a secret. I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan. World has been one of the best games. It probably is. The most refined, undoubtedly. It looks great compared to all the other stuff that was on the handhelds before. Our first real taste of Monster Hunter in the West on a big boy platform. And then Iceborn just came in and just made everything better, gave us more content. As the year went on, I kept coming back to it because they would update it, improve all the stuff people didn't like, adding more stuff. It was crazy. I put, like, no joke, probably over 400, 500 hours into Iceborn alone this year.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy that I almost forgot it was a big part of the year for me.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a fan of Monster Hunter, it's like a disservice not to check out some of the stuff that was in this game. It has some of the absolute best fights they've ever done, and I'm really looking forward to what they do in the future with games like Rise.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Very good pick. Yeah, I missed out on Iceborn for sure. I didn't really play it as much as I probably should have. But
Yeah,
I was also away from my computer for like months right after the release
that's
of
right.
it. Yeah, so no Iceborn gaming for me when it was at its peak either, I think. So
It had a lot of different peaks, honestly, depending on, when you I mean, jumping into that game right now, it might be a little overwhelming because they've added a lot of stuff, and I think part of my appreciation is probably, following along as it went, having those lows of some of the introductory stuff, like the whole guiding lands, I thought was garbage. Immediately, I didn't like it, and at least now I can say it's significantly improved from how it was at launch, and part of the pleasure there is just having been along for the ride.
hell yeah, seeing it develop and get better.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Exactly.
Excellent. Okay.
Very good.
Well,
Well, yeah, I mean, all that's left for me are just a couple of honorable mentions.
Oh, hold on. I didn't get to do my game of the year yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You guys, it was only under the condition that
It was
you
a
guys
fight,
matched the
and
game.
and then
And
I
Jay didn't
think,
stop you, so
I didn't stop
Jay-
him.
He didn't stop me, but it's because he knew I had the same pick as him, and I could talk about it and say what he was thinking.
Yeah, so my game of the year also is Monster Hunter Iceborn expansion back.
Bullshit.
even though you just admitted to not playing it.
I didn't play it that much, but it was good.
What's your real number one, man? Come on.
My real number one. All right. It feels
MIDFES' golden boy.
this. I'm gonna get shot here for saying this.
Uh-oh.
Is it Skyrim?
Straight up get shot.
But this is we've all mentioned 2020. The year has been so fucked up. And there was a period of time where this game came out and everything felt good for just a little bit. Like, I can't understate how much this particular game, like, really smoothed things over just mentally, like mental health wise. It's Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think
wow.
Okay.
I
Cool.
think that just I honestly only played it for like a month or two, but I played it a lot, and I haven't gone back to it. I haven't wanted to go back to it. It didn't really stand out even amidst the Animal Crossing series. Like, I mean, there's certain mechanics and stuff that they added, but there's a lot of holes and stuff missing from past games too that kind of held it back, especially longevity wise. Like, there wasn't that much to do once your island got developed. But I think just considering, it just felt like when it came out, it felt like it was destiny to have come out at that time, and it just felt like it was such a healing game. I just remember, being so unsure. It was just fucked. It was so fucked up earlier this year for sure. And that game just felt like what everyone needed. That was the medicine that everyone needed at that time. And I think it's hard to understate the effect of that game at kind of mellowing out that period of time in the year. So I think that's probably my game of the year just for that.
Yeah, that's a great game to pick too, because I've never seen a game come out that caused like an international goods shortage.
Yeah.
Like it caused
Everyone.
yeah, the Nintendos, you just couldn't find them in America for so long, and it was right around when New Leaf came, or what was it called
New
again?
Horizons.
New Horizons. That's right. When New Horizons came out,
Yeah.
and yeah, I've certainly. It's an interesting game. I've never seen a presidential campaign make an official you know account in a game before until Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yeah,
When Joe Biden made his like a political space, like he turned his island into like a big political space for him.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
I mean, the game can be super creative for sure, and there's a lot of cool creative things, and people were, interacting online and going to each other's islands, and there was like a big trading community and stuff, like of people just, it really opened things up, I think, for people to connect in this time when you couldn't connect.
Right?
Like people were
And
hanging out in Animal Crossing because they couldn't hang out in real life.
oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and I hear too about places where they're not allowed to have like gatherings, and like some areas, like this is kind of crazy, but in China I remember people were dying during like the lockdowns, and they weren't allowed to go outside, so they were holding funerals for people on Animal Crossing
Yeah, and there's
because that was the only platform that the government didn't really censor.
yeah, and there's people doing birthdays and weddings and stuff as well. Like it
Oh,
was
that's
just
right. Yeah.
it's that game came out at just a perfect time, and I think that
Yeah.
that's my game of the year choice. I think.
It's
I
a great
think that
pick.
it did. It's crazy. It did come out at the perfect time. Totally agree.
Mhm.
So many people really banked on that game to get them through a good portion of 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's my picks. Yeah, should we go
Great
over?
picks.
Should we go over our honorable mentions?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that
got a
sounds
couple.
great.
Just I don't want to elaborate too much, but I just want to give them a shout out. They were good,
Bullet points.
good, great games. Yeah, I got some bullet points for these. But I don't know if Kiowa, you seem eager. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm pretty eager, to say the least. Yeah, I've got just two games on my list, so I could just rattle them off quick and just give a little spiel on each of them while I do
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, let's hear 'em.
Yeah. So one pick was another early one, and back in early 2020, Mount and Blade Bannerlord.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I
watched
think
you
that
play a
is
bit of
an
that.
actual 2020 release game, or
Yeah.
maybe it came out a little bit before and I just hadn't heard about it. But I was playing early 2020. And boy, that game was fun. Even right when it came out at its release, when it was super buggy, had all these weird issues. The issues were just outweighed by how fun it was. Like I've never. This is my first time playing a Mountain Blade game before. So I'm not sure how it compares to the previous titles, but it was all just such a fresh experience for me and just super fun. Really would love to revisit that game at some point when I find the time to, because yeah, it was just excellent. Totally excellent game.
Yeah.
Another game that I put on my honorable mentions, how can you talk about the year 2020 without talking about the game Old School RuneScape?
Yes,
my
dude.
God.
This game has returned from the dead. It's more popular now than I think it's ever been before.
I think it's more popular than the RS3. Like they're
Wow.
What
Yeah,
it
the
eventually
continued version of,
Yeah.
of OSRS. But yeah, it's just a great game. What I love is how it's such a passive game that you can basically play it with barely looking at it, just low maintenance. And that's great for a busy guy like myself when I'm always doing homework. I'm always, looking at something on my monitor. I might not have, my whole attention to divert to a game. So, at least you can find a way to squeeze some gaming in between the cracks. And OSRS is the perfect game for that. It's sort of like, it was sort of like my condiment of 2020. Just
Would-
sort of a dressing that went along with everything else. I was just always playing the game, tapping those trees, lighting those logs.
What's your woodcutting level?
My woodcutting level is 94.
Damn.
WC.
Yep. That proves that you've been farming it up.
I paid for I'll pay, and what's nice about the game too, if money's tight, you can work hard in game to save up enough for membership, like premium status.
I like that. I'm into that
And
too.
so you don't actually have to pay out of pocket. You could just use in-game currency to keep your own real-world subscription going.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Just a fun little game, you know. I'm glad to see that it's around from so long ago, and I still have fun with it.
It's a good one.
And that's what
I,
counts,
I,
man.
I respect that pick for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
All
Yeah,
right.
those are my honorable mentions. I'd say they were very significant games for me this year, but they just did not quite make the cut compared to the other three in terms of just, what I thought of them and how much time I've spent playing games in 2020. And yeah,
Fair enough, yeah.
Hell yeah. I'll go with my honorable mentions, and then you could wrap it up, Cole.
All right. Yeah, well, that works.
First honorable mention is Lost in Vivo,
whoa,
which is a short little indie horror game, but I think, it's very scary. I had a really, really great time playing it, and I mean, it's such a focused project. I'm pretty sure one dude, made it,
wow.
and I don't know why. It's just always kind of stuck out to me as a really. I'm a big stickler for horror games. Like, I get mad if they're dumb. I'm really, really particular and picky when it comes to horror games.
Yep.
And this one, like, knocked it out of the park, man. Like it
Lost
allowed,
in
it was really good. It was super psychological. It wasn't there. I don't. Maybe I could count the amount of jump scares on one hand. Like, everything else is just tense paranoia, and I fucking love it. Really great. So next honorable mention is Doom 2016.
Whoa.
I played both this and Lost in Vivo on stream. Doom, holy shit! What a dose of just nonstop adrenaline pumping, murderous, bloody, gory action, and it just the shooting felt so good, killing was so good. Like there was nothing really stood in the way mechanically. It was all just so much fun to play. I don't think I had maybe I had one. No, I don't even think I had a bad time playing it. I think I was having fun the whole entire playthrough. It was just good. I'm really excited to play Doom Eternal. I know that did come out in 2020, but I'm just playing Doom 2016. So that one is another honorable mention for me. And my third and final honorable mention. This might get me shot.
Why are there so many of these?
There's a firing squad lined up,
If you
pointing
pick a
at
bad
Jade,
game,
waiting on
you
his
are
third
killed.
pick right now.
It's it's very funny. I think it's Genshin Impact.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think the amount of fun I have, I have such big highs and lows playing this game that it's the valleys are deep. They're very, very deep, almost endless valleys, but the peaks are really nice. The peaks are good. I think the first 2 weeks playing playing Genshin Impact were amazing. It was so much fun, and it felt like the opportunities were endless. It felt like the gameplay was just going to be so good, and it just came at such a good time in my life personally as well. It kind of relates to the Animal Crossing thing where I was just struggling through some personal stuff, and Genshin Impact was like a nice healing game. And it's still entertaining, periodically entertaining. It's definitely fallen off quite a bit from the mysticism from when I first played it, but I think it's an honorable mention for me personally. I mean, the amount of it's a good game, for a mobile game.
It's a game that holds its own.
Mm-hmm. It holds its
Mobile
own.
game.
I think it's worth bringing up for. I think it's kind of messed up. It didn't win a mobile game of the year personally. So I'm bringing
What did win?
fucking Among Us.
Pokemon Go.
No,
Oh,
Among Us won,
Oh,
and that game didn't even come out in 2020. So I figure,
man.
time to bring it, time to bring it up to
Time
the
to give it the
prestigious,
attention it deserves.
yeah, the prestigious Midnight Festival honorable mentions list for Game of the Year. Genshin Impact, ladies and
That
gentlemen.
should
Finally
give it a
doing
little
it
boost.
justice.
Yeah.
That's my list.
It's a
I
good
feel
list.
a little bad. You know, I don't think I'd give a shout out to Genshin, but I don't think I'd give it an honorable mention for 2020, even though it might be. It's definitely top 3 mobile games.
Yeah.
For me, that's just for me. But I got 2 honorable mentions here. The Cole 2020 list, and the first one is going to be Red Dead Redemption 2.
Nice.
I don't know how much there is to say about this game. If you know it, you know it, right?
Yeah.
True.
It's just more. It's good. It's good. More Red Dead 1, more polished Red Dead 1. I think. Just generally, that game, the first one is kind of ancient now. If you go back and try to play that, there's a lot of outdated shit that I just don't remember. And the second game, you'd never have guessed. It's so immersive. Everything in that game feels really polished too. And one of the reasons I don't think it was, maybe a top 3 is because there's a lot of obnoxious amounts of immersion in that game that really inflated my playtime more than I really wanted. But
Yeah, I
good
love
characters
that
and
shit.
good story. Yeah. It's love it or hate it, I think.
I played it in
honestly.
2019. Otherwise, I would have definitely brought that to the plate. Because, goddamn.
Yeah, I think also a lot of my playtime was back in 2019.
Oh, yeah, I there is an online mode, but whatever, take it or leave it. And my other honorable mention, this one is probably very particular to me, but it's the Mega Man Zero collection.
Oh, yeah.
One of the many remasters of this age. It's probably the best way to play Mega Man Zero, and all those games. They've done a lot with Mega Man in the recent years, where they're bringing all these collections back to the fold because they haven't made new games for the series. And this had a lot of really nice quality of life changes that made these generally extremely punishing games a lot easier, even for someone like myself who has played a lot of them and should know his way around. And the best part about this collection for me on PC was being able to mod in their remastered music tracks that they made over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of having just the Game Boy Advance chiptune stuff, it's crazy. It's like a wholly different experience. I loved it.
Wow, with the
I
remix.
don't know
The
what else there
difference
is
a
to say about
remix
it.
track can make.
Yeah. It's crazy, the level of quality difference between some of these tracks, the impact, the emotion that you get. It's like it's unparalleled when you hear some of these bangers. I loved it.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
Wow.
I take no issue with any games that anyone said tonight. I think they're all excellent picks.
I think, the fact of the matter is, these games are important to us, and they helped us get through 2020, and they stood out to us as these more memorable experiences for us this year. Like, I think we all had good.
We're all going to be getting tattoos of these lists.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm getting mine on my back, upper left shoulder blade first, because I'm assuming we're gonna be doing this for a while, like all for 10 years. So I'm just starting with like the shoulder blade, going down. And I'm gonna kind of fill out my back as the years go on with my.
Yeah, I'm
guys'
gonna
games on
start
myself.
on my. Yeah, I like that idea. I think I'll start on my left shoulder, and the longer we keep this going on, I'll go all the way down my leg.
Oh yeah, you're going.
just
So you're
a
going
big line.
vertically. I was gonna go
vertical.
horizontally, but it makes more sense to
okay.
go vertically, because that can fill up way more space.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, so that's I suppose. I mean,
That's
those
it
are
for me,
that's our
man.
list. Those are
Those
our
are our
lists.
picks.
We got Game of the Year picks represented, or respectively. I picked Animal Crossing New Horizons. Cole picked Monster Hunter World Iceborn. Kaiwa picked Hades. I think those are great. Those are great Game of the Year contenders. I mean, that's good
absolutely.
shit.
I think mine would probably win. If you put them up against each other.
I think Kaiwa's
Yeah.
would probably win. But
But
Did get some accolades.
it's really
It is-
it's really personal. That's the important thing.
Yeah. Disregarding
So I
the whole
won't subject
personal
you
thing,
to
yours
that.
would certainly lose.
So I won't subject you to getting pummeled by Monster Hunter World Iceborn, best game of 2020. But
See, I can almost debate. I'll debate whether it's a 2020 game. I don't think it even should be. It's not a 2020 game. It's not even a 2020
well, it's not
game.
about 2020, dude. It's about what we played in 2020. And that's why I
Iceborn
bring it
did
to
come
this
out
list.
2020 though, right?
For PC.
For PC.
Okay, yeah. Oh, for PC,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, did we? I think that's it. I don't know if we had anything.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
We'll we'll probably do this again for 2021. So check back in 12 months.
Yeah, in a more
Yep.
timely fashion. Well, no, actually 10 months because we're 2 months late.
Yeah, that is
So
true.
hopefully we're
No,
not going to do this
we're
again.
recording this on January 1st, right?
Oh, it just took me 2 months to edit it, so it's on my shoulders that it's so late.
Oh yeah, that probably doesn't seem any better. All right.
Yeah.
It's been uploading for that long.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the ISP's fault.
Internet blackouts, internet shortages in America.
Had some copyright issues because I
Had
at first when I
COVID,
uploaded
yeah.
it I put the Monster Hunter theme song or whatever for the introduction song and it got flagged. We've had a lot of we've had to talk to the Capcom lawyers to get it cleared.
Or I was on a non-disclosure agreement after quitting my job,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had to wait a couple months to upload.
There were a lot of reasons why this is just a little late.
A little bit too late. So hopefully next year we'll be on top of things and we'll get it out on January 1st, December 31st, New Year's Eve, right at
That would
midnight.
be so cool. I bet that would be such a timely and popular video or podcast too. Just
Yeah.
because of the timing, that would be excellent.
So like next year on the New Year's Eve when you're watching the ball drop, just be refreshing our Spotify page because the next episode is going to come out right on the dot at midnight,
On
right
the
out right
dot.
for the new year. So
Hell yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
all right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to our Game of the Year list. If you enjoyed it, send us a message on our Twitter account, which is at MIDFES Podcast. Let's hear your Game of the Year picks. Like, share, subscribe our videos.
Hit the little bell.
Hit the little bell
Send us
notification
questions
bells.
on our email.
Ask us
whatever
questions
that
on our
was.
email. I don't know. That's about it. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a great night and have a happy midnight.
Happy midnight.
midnight.